The Korean Peninsula is a tinderbox. Recent actions by North Korea have heightened tensions. The world watches nervously. Is this the prelude to another Korean war? The situation is complex and fraught with danger. North Korea's nuclear ambitions are at the heart of the problem. The regime's pursuit of these weapons has destabilized the region. It has also sparked a dangerous arms race. North Korea's recent actions have sent shockwaves through the region. The international community watches with bated breath as tensions escalate, and the fragile peace that once seemed within reach now appears more distant than ever. The implications of these actions are far-reaching, affecting not just the Korean Peninsula, but the broader geopolitical landscape. The demolition of the Inter-Korean Liaison office is a case in point. This building, once a beacon of hope and a symbol of potential reconciliation, was reduced to rubble in a matter of moments. The explosion was not just a physical act of destruction, but a powerful message sent by North Korea to the world. This act was highly symbolic. It was a deliberate move to sever the ties that had been painstakingly built over years of diplomatic efforts. The debris of the liaison office now stands as a stark reminder of the fragility of peace and the volatility of international relations. It represented a physical manifestation of the deteriorating relationship between the two Koreas. The border, already heavily militarized, now feels even more tense. Soldiers on both sides stand on high alert, and the atmosphere is one of suspicion and unease. The liaison office was established in 2018. It was a historic moment marked by optimism and a shared vision for a peaceful future. The opening ceremony was attended by officials from both North and South Korea, and it was widely covered by the media as a significant step towards reconciliation. It was meant to be a symbol of hope. For many, it represented the possibility of a new era of cooperation and mutual understanding. Peace rallies were held, and citizens on both sides dared to dream of a future without conflict. It was intended to facilitate dialogue and cooperation between the two Koreas. The office served as a neutral ground where officials could meet, discuss, and work towards resolving their differences. It was a place where the seeds of peace could be sown and nurtured. Its destruction represents a major setback for peace efforts. The hopes and dreams that were once associated with the liaison office have been shattered. Political analysts now debate the future of inter-Korean relations, and citizens express their disappointment and frustration. The road to peace has become even more challenging, and the world watches anxiously to see what will happen next. Kim Jong Un's recent pronouncements have further inflamed tensions. He has called for increased military readiness. His words are a chilling reminder of the ever-present threat of war. Kim's rhetoric is often bombastic. However, it should not be dismissed as mere bluster. North Korea has a history of provocative actions. These actions have often taken the international community by surprise. North Korea's foreign policy appears to be undergoing a significant shift. In recent years, the isolated nation has been making moves that suggest a change in its traditional stance. This shift is not just a minor adjustment, but a potential reorientation of its entire diplomatic approach. The Hanoi summit in 2019 marked a crucial turning point in North Korea's international relations. The highly anticipated meeting between Kim Jong-un and then-President Donald Trump was seen as a historic opportunity to ease tensions and pave the way for denuclearization. However, the talks between Kim Jong-un and Donald Trump ultimately collapsed, leaving both parties disappointed. The failure of the summit was a significant setback, and it highlighted the deep-seated mistrust and complex issues that continue to hinder progress. Since the collapse of the Hanoi summit, North Korea has shown little interest in engaging in further diplomatic efforts with the United States or its allies. Instead, the regime has focused on showcasing its military might through parades and drills, signaling a return to a more hardline stance. In the wake of these developments, North Korea has deepened its ties with China and Russia. The strengthening of these relationships indicates a strategic pivot towards aligning with these major powers, potentially as a counterbalance to Western influence. This strategic pivot has significant implications for regional security. The increased cooperation between North Korea, China, and Russia could alter the balance of power in East Asia, leading to heightened tensions and a more complex security environment. The evolving dynamics raise concerns about a new axis of power that could challenge the United States and its allies in the region. As North Korea continues to navigate its foreign policy, the world watches closely, aware that these shifts could have far-reaching consequences for global stability and peace. North Korea's nuclear weapons program is the most pressing security challenge in Northeast Asia. The regime has conducted 6 nuclear tests. It continues to develop its ballistic missile capabilities. The international community has imposed sanctions on North Korea. The aim is to pressure the regime to abandon its nuclear program. However, these sanctions have had limited impact. North Korea remains defiant. The United States and South Korea are committed to deterring North Korean aggression. They maintain a robust military presence on the Korean Peninsula. Joint military exercises are conducted regularly. However, deterrence is a delicate dance. The US and South Korea must strike a balance. They must project strength without provoking North Korea. Miscalculation on either side could have catastrophic consequences. The future of the Korean Peninsula hangs in the balance. The risk of conflict remains high. Dialogue and diplomacy are the only path to a peaceful resolution. However, the obstacles to dialogue are formidable. Trust between the parties is low. North Korea remains committed to its nuclear program. The international community must remain united in its resolve to denuclearize North Korea. The international community has expressed deep concern about North Korea's recent actions. The United Nations Security Council has condemned North Korea's missile tests. It has called for a resumption of denuclearization talks. However, the Security Council remains divided on how to deal with North Korea. China and Russia are reluctant to impose further sanctions. They argue that sanctions are counterproductive. They believe that dialogue is the only way forward. Sanctions have been the primary tool used by the international community to pressure North Korea. However, their effectiveness is debatable. North Korea has become adept at circumventing sanctions. Moreover, sanctions have had a devastating impact on the North Korean people. They have exacerbated the humanitarian crisis in the country. This has led some to argue that sanctions are counterproductive. They believe that sanctions only strengthen the regime's grip on power. China is North Korea's closest ally, a relationship that has been forged over decades of political and military cooperation. This bond is not just historical, but also strategic, as both nations share a common interest in countering Western influence in the region. China is also North Korea's largest trading partner, providing essential goods and economic support that keep the North Korean economy afloat. The trade between the two countries includes everything from food and fuel to machinery and consumer goods, making China indispensable to North Korea's survival. Beyond trade, China has a unique role to play in resolving the North Korean nuclear issue. As a permanent member of the United Nations Security Council, China has the diplomatic clout to influence international sanctions and negotiations. Its involvement is crucial for any meaningful progress towards denuclearization. However, China's leverage over North Korea is often overestimated. While it has significant influence, North Korea has shown a willingness to defy even its closest ally when it comes to its nuclear ambitions. The relationship is complex and not as one-sided as it may appear. China is reluctant to take actions that could destabilize North Korea. The Chinese government fears that harsh measures could lead to the collapse of the North Korean regime, which would have dire consequences for regional stability. A regime collapse could result in a humanitarian crisis, with millions of North Korean refugees potentially flooding into China. This would strain China's resources and create significant social and economic challenges. The chaos on its border would be difficult to manage, leading to long-term instability. Additionally, the collapse of North Korea could create a power vacuum that might be filled by forces hostile to Chinese interests. Another concern for China is the potential for a unified Korea allied with the United States. Such a scenario would bring American military presence right to China's doorstep, a strategic nightmare for Beijing. This geopolitical shift would significantly alter the balance of power in East Asia, making China even more cautious in its approach to North Korea. The road to peace on the Korean Peninsula is long and arduous. However, there is still hope. Dialogue and diplomacy offer the best chance for a peaceful resolution. The international community must remain engaged. It must work to build trust between the parties. It must also address North Korea's legitimate security concerns. A denuclearized Korean peninsula is in everyone's interest.